How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Hero Homestead. It's me, Zach, even though I know you can't tell. Yeah, just had an interesting experience. So, I got these a while back. They're the military type scarf. I'll let you kind of see the whole thing here real quick before I take off. But thought they looked a little cool. I got one in white and black, just in case the mood is different from day to day. But yeah, I got them for. I can't do it. Okay. That's the whole point of my video right there. We'll get into it as we go along. So yeah. Let's head home while we're doing it. Yeah, so I went and got these nifty little headscarves and stuff because they're the ones I got are rated for a lot of different things and whatnot, and they look a little more intimidating than scared person underneath, which is, I think, important in a lot of different things. So, you don't look like a fearful person. You look like someone who can hold your own for the most part. And that little science experiment actually did work. I noticed even though most everyone in the store was wearing their masks, no one was wearing one like me. Well, a couple people were, but they had a different, heritage than I do. So they had the normal type of, disrespect, non-friendly behavior towards them that you get around these parts because, let's face it, racism can be real sometimes, and even though it sucks, some other individuals do it. So yeah, people that don't look like me that wear these kind of scarves or other head gear, as I'll say it, usually get one kind of response, but people seeing me, a Caucasian persuasion person, wearing this with a hat and a light jacket and whatnot and the boots that I typically wear when I go out in public, generally gets that guy knows his business, I guess. Or they would assume, since it's a military type scarf, that I might have a veteran background. I don't pretend to be a veteran ever, because those guys kick ass. Always wanted to join, tried a couple times, but asthma and other medical conditions gave me the big old no-go for that, so that's why. But much respect to the actual veterans out there. I don't pretend to be any one of you. I salute you all and thank you all for your service. But these scarves are very handy. That's probably why most people in the military get issued them. But so I decided, that's what I wanted to wear for those two reasons. They're effective and they kind of get people to keep your distance, which is what I want. I don't always want people around me, especially when not everyone's thinking clearly. But that being said, the topic I wanted to bring up right about now is I noticed as I was going through the store, as most people have said, they can't stand wearing a mask. And it wasn't until, and I really tried to push the limit while I was in there. I was in there for a good 2 hours. Apparently, alarm clocks, which is one of the main things I was trying to find because the kids needed one. Oh, that's warm. Kids needed an alarm clock. Those were hard to find. It was like this magical thing that they were hiding, but I walked around the store and I wanted to make it a quick trip, and I thought, let's really see what can be done. And I started to notice the longer I was in there wearing this thing, the more I had to consciously make myself aware of what I was doing and trying to remain calm. I could feel, could feel the presence of, I had something over my face, and it started to bother me a lot. Not like I couldn't breathe, but the restraint of it. And I could, how you get, they call it hangry, when you haven't eaten and your patience wears thin and you'll be a little more snappy. I started getting those kind of feelings with that on there, because you're breathing into it, air, it's warm, it's uncomfortable, it's tight. I didn't realize how warm it was making me around my neck till I just now took it off. But so it's probably raising my core body temperature, which means my body is already in a fight response, because it's like, temperature's up, we're ready to go, ready for some sort of action. But yeah, something to think about there for sure. How many people out there have done practice drills with that? I'm sure if you're in a survivalist prepper community, you all already know what I'm talking about. But for your average person, that the moms that have to take the kids to the doctor or the store, or the dads that have to make the special runs, or just whatever in everyday life, because there's some people where the masks are mandatory, some people do it just to feel comfortable and worry about, infection or their own health because they have, a weakened immune system. Or sometimes they're making stores require it. And getting that extra edginess. I couldn't imagine Christmas time with this on, because everyone's already on edge at the stores because everyone's out shopping. There's a whole lot less courtesy between people around because it's always me, rush. I'm the most important person or thing going on. So everyone's already agitated. Now imagine having to deal with that, where now you're stuck in a store that's over capacity, assuming they'll let people do that by then, because right now they're limiting capacity as is. But yeah, you're packed in there, you're uncomfortable as it is, and now you've got something restraining your mouth, raising your body temperature. Go save the day, guy. Ooh, he's an unmarked white SUV with police lights. I wonder what that's about. Anywho, but yeah, I couldn't imagine. Like, I was having, I was there, I was by myself. We don't take the kids out unless it's absolutely necessary that they go, which is pretty much never. But, I was by myself, so I don't have a distraction of other people. So no one pulling at me, I'm not having to give my attention or entertain anyone else. And I'm able to focus on what I'm doing and at my leisure. And the longer I was in there, I'm getting heated, both mentally and physically. And it was starting to bug me, and I had to start having the thoughts of like, wow, this is just something simple where there's no stress, no chaos, no nothing. And for not even I wouldn't say a super prolonged period of time, it was just, like I said, about 2 hours. I was walking around trying to find everything and getting what I need, making phone calls and forgetting this, and then running this kind of little test I had here. It was tough, real tough. I couldn't imagine being in an actual bad situation where that's a necessity. Like, say there's some sort of dust storm and they're talking about the food shortages and stuff, and like, back in the early 20s and 30s there was that, and then there was the Dust Bowl, and people literally had to, imagine you had to walk around because there's no fuel, there's no food, there's no nothing. You gotta wear those things. Outside of that, not just for, safety, but actually like health. Like you won't be able to breathe when the weather conditions are like that. So that's gonna be an all day thing. And if you're outside and it's summertime, which we're about to enter here, that's a real hot day right there. That is not going to be very fun. And I'm a grown man that can pretty well self-regulate and manage without temper flaring and emotions overrunning and getting the job done and keeping my cool. But what if you are a child? I got 4 of them. 4 kids running around. Blake, the oldest, he's the guy, he's pretty well able to manage, but he is still a kid. He can lose his cool every now and again, but it's to be understood. He hasn't learned to manage it. But the little ones, one, they're girls, so nothing against women, but emotions are a little more closer to the surface than they are for guys, so there's that. One of our daughters has some sensory issues, so that's this whole other ballgame having to manage, and she hates things touching her face, and like, she wears contacts because she doesn't like even feeling glasses on her face. It's restrictive, and I get that. And then the youngest, she's a redhead, ginger, with fair skin. I don't know if you know this, most people do. They're pretty sensitive to temperature, among everything else. So I couldn't imagine having to have her deal with a prolonged period in the heat with a mask over her face to where it's not an option to take it off because she'll get really sick or something bad could happen. And again, I'm not speaking into some, illness that's going around or anything like that. I mean, like, just regular weather conditions, working outside, it's dusty, it's stormy, whatever, let alone an actual illness type pandemic situation where they make these things mandatory. That's crazy, but it is what it is. So I guess something to think about would be, maybe even if you don't agree with wearing the masks and taking all the PPE precautions, I would do it anyways, just for this, so you can kind of get used to it. So if you are in a mandatory situation, or in a situation like I'm talking about, where I'm thinking like, okay, if food shortages become real and growing becomes an issue. The weather's been all over the place, and they're already predicting a record hurricane season, which means a lot of stuff's going to get messed up, even more so than it is now. You might have to wear a mask because the ground might be brittle and dusty and stormy and bad, and you don't know. I mean, allergens are a pain in the butt all the time, especially where we live, and with storms it just gets worse. So maybe take some time to practice wearing that and getting used to it. That way you're acclimated to it, because no one wants to get used to something during a crisis or during the need situation. You need to be ready ahead of time. That's why the idea of practice exists. I mean, I was talking to a fellow YouTuber friend of mine, Survival Prepping for Normal People. He's an expert, knows his stuff, and he's really good with information. I've learned a lot from him, kind of model a few things I do when I talk to you guys after that, because I know it works and I don't want to waste anybody's time. But I was talking to him because he did a video a few days ago actually, about body armor and things like that. One of the things he mentioned in there was if you're wearing your body armor, first thing you should do is, if you're out working out or working outside, wear it. Get used to the weight, because that stuff is not light. But he said you should practice trying to fall down and then get up quickly. And I thought, wow, that blows my mind, because a basic rig is 25 pounds, and I don't know about you guys, I don't know a whole lot of people that are used to moving their own body weight quickly, let alone an additional set of weight that is literal dead weight. But that's what made me think of today and doing this little exercise when someone needed to run to the store. So I said, I'll go. I don't get out much, which is fine because of what's going on. And I wanted to, I could use a break and I can get this accomplished. Same concept. Let's practice falling down and getting up with the extra encumbrance. Only this time let's see how long I can manage to keep this mask on without losing it. And I started noticing probably after about 25, 30 minutes, I was not happy camper. And I could feel it setting in, and it starts setting other things off. It sets off like, okay, you're on high alert, your body starts doing weird stuff, and you have to remind yourself, it's all right, you're fine. So practicing tasks like that can come in very handy in any kind of situation, but especially in a critical, tough situation where you're not comfortable, you're in an uncomfortable environment doing uncomfortable things. On top of that, what if you're doing all those things, like today was just me by myself? What if it was me, your spouse, your kids, a whole group that you're having to manage on top of that? You're not going to be able to regulate your cool, keep your mental prowess with you if you're just now figuring out that that's going to be a problem. You're going to snap. You're going to upset people. Now you got 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 problems. That's when all the dominoes fall down. So, just wanted to throw that to you right there and give you something to think about, because it's now something I got to think about. And I've had to wear the masks at work from time to time when we work in surgery areas and stuff. You bunny up, but it's never for very long, and those are usually the lighter end things that they give to contractors, not these full-on N95 type masks that block everything and all that. So definitely a different ball game, kids. And I like to play ball at the highest level, but you can't get there if you don't practice. So start coming up with little exercises if you have to go out and about, of what you can do to make yourself more durable, more flexible of what's going on. Because I wasn't expecting that. But that's my own stupidity for not knowing what I don't know. So, I'm heading home with the groceries. Time for dinner. Happy Cinco de Mayo. I think we're having Mexican food like everybody else probably is. And I hope you all have a good day. And like I said, get some practice, because that is what heroes do.